Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into Pink Floyd's The Dark Side of the Moon. You know, it's an album that's captivated millions for over 50 years, and we're going beyond just the music. We'll be exploring those pressures, the themes, the creative decisions that made this album such a cultural touchstone.
It all started, on a Pink Floyd tour. Bassist Roger Waters, he envisioned an album that really confronted the things that just make people mad.
Oh, interesting.
And he was thinking about, the band's lifestyle, pretty demanding, and the mental health struggles of Syd Barrett, former member.
It's so fascinating how these personal elements kind of fuel this whole project.
Right. And it's interesting because some of the musical ideas, they were already there. Like the opening line of Breathe, it actually originated from an earlier Waters soundtrack.
Oh, wow.
And Us and Them, that drew its structure from a piece that Wright composed, I think it was for a film.
Really?
Yeah. It's like they were building upon, refining existing ideas.
That's so cool. So they were kind of like playing with these ideas for a while.
Yeah. And they meticulously prepared for the album, too.
Yeah.
They were rehearsing in, get this, a Rolling Stones warehouse.
Wow. A Rolling Stones warehouse.
Yeah. And they used a then cutting-edge 28-track mixing desk.
That's pretty advanced for the time.
Oh, yeah. And they even developed a custom lighting rig.
So you can really tell how ambitious they were right from the beginning.
Absolutely. I mean, they even premiered the album a full year before its official release.
Oh, wow. Where was that?
It was at the London's Rainbow Theatre.
Really? To like a crowd?
Oh, yeah. It was presented to a crowd of critics.
Oh, wow. That's bold.
It was. And, some reviews were really positive, but others were less enthusiastic. They weren't crazy about the sound effects.
Right. Pink Floyd's always been kind of experimental, even if it means dividing critics. But, okay, so let's delve into the album structure. It's basically one continuous piece of music across both sides of the vinyl, right?
It is. Each side, though, represents different stages of human life.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like a journey.
It is. It's a concept album, a format that Pink Floyd actually helped to popularize. A central theme, or a narrative connects all the individual songs.
Oh, okay.
And The Dark Side of the Moon, it just seamlessly explores themes of conflict, greed, the passage of time, death, and insanity.
Wow, heavy stuff.
Heavy stuff, right. But done so well.
So each song kind of embodies a particular aspect of these themes.
Exactly. Like Speak to Me and Breathe. They capture, the anxieties of just everyday life, the potential for madness. But they're also kind of urging the listener to embrace life.
Oh, that's a nice message.
Yeah. And then there's On the Run with those swirling synths, very evocative of stressful travel.
Oh, I see.
It draws on Wright's fear of flying, actually.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so very personal.
And then there's Time.
Oh, time. Yeah, that's like the iconic ticking clock.
Yeah.
A reminder that time is just passing relentlessly.
Yeah, we all feel that.
Right. And then Breathe, Reprise, which is like this brief retreat from those anxieties.
I see.
Yeah, this interplay of contrasting emotions, really clever.
And of course, you can't forget The Great Gig in the Sky with Claire Torrey.
Oh, yeah.
Those haunting vocals. So powerful.
Powerful expression of death, right? It's just inevitable.
Every time, it just gives me chills.
It's an amazing track.
And then when you flip the record, you've got Money.
Money,
Yeah.
dripping with sarcasm, critiquing greed and consumerism.
It's funny how that became their most commercially successful song.
The irony is not lost.
Not at all. What about Us and Them?
Us and Them explores isolation and conflict, but it does it through these simple contrasts. Very effective.
Interesting. What about Any Color You Like?
Any Color You Like. I've always kind of interpreted that as a commentary on the illusion of choice that we have in modern society.
Oh, that makes sense.
Right. And then you transition into Brain Damage. That delves into mental illness, especially how fame can really exacerbate it. And that line about the band playing different tunes, it seems like a direct reference to Syd Barrett's breakdown.
Oh, yeah.
Poignant moment, right?
Yeah. And finally, you have Eclipse. It brings the album to a close.
It does. It emphasizes unity and shared humanity. It's like, despite all our struggles, we're all connected.
It's a fitting resolution after such an emotionally heavy journey, throughout the whole album.
It is.
Okay, so let's step inside Abbey Road Studios now.
All right.
The legendary space where this iconic album was recorded.
Legendary is right.
This is the same studio where the Beatles recorded?
The
Brad?
very same. And for these sessions, they worked with Alice Parsons.
Alan Parsons, okay.
He had experience, actually, as an assistant engineer on the Beatles' Abbey Road and Let It Be.
Wow, impressive pedigree. No wonder the album just sounds incredible even by today's standards.
Yeah, they were pushing boundaries with techniques like 16-track mixing, which for Pink Floyd at the time was pretty advanced. They were so dedicated to layering sound, so they actually had to create second-generation copies of the tapes just to free up space.
Wow. That's dedication.
They were all about it.
Yeah.
And they were also experimenting with tape loops and synthesizers.
And On the Run, that captivating synth sequence, how'd they do that?
They created that by actually running around the studio's echo chamber.
Really?
Yeah.
They were running around.
Yeah, it's amazing how they translated that physical movement into sound.
That's crazy. I also love that consistent heartbeat that kind of pulses throughout the whole album.
Ah, yes. They achieved that using a specially treated bass drum, designed to mimic a human heartbeat. It's woven into tracks like Speak to Me, On the Run, Time, and Eclipse. Adds that really visceral human element to the music.
It's like the album itself has a heartbeat.
Exactly. And their ingenuity extended to money as well. That distinctive 74 time signature, it wasn't just a musical choice. They constructed it using sounds of, money-related objects.
I like what?
Like coins clinking, a cash register, even tearing paper.
Oh, wow. So innovative. They really embraced sonic experimentation.
They did, and I've also read that they took collaboration to a whole new level.
In a way.
Well, for tracks like On the Run, all 4 band members, along with the engineers, were simultaneously operating mixing console faders.
Wow.
It was a real team effort. They were blending their talents to create something truly remarkable.
Now we have to talk about The Great Gig in the Sky. Claire Torrey's vocals are just legendary. How did that collaboration even come about?
So Claire was a session singer at Abbey Road. Alan Parsons actually recommended her. But here's the interesting part. The band couldn't give her specific directions for the vocals.
Oh, really?
No, they just wanted her to, react to the music,
Right.
to express emotions through her voice.
Wow, so it was a pure improvisation.
Exactly. She just let loose. And her performance was so powerful that she actually apologized afterwards. She thought she'd gone overboard.
They apologized.
She did. But the band, they were blown away. But they didn't reveal their true feelings at the time.
Oh, that's funny. And the rest is history.
Well, not quite. It gets more complex. Claire didn't even know that her vocals were going to be on the album. She bought a copy and saw her name in the credits.
Wow, that's wild.
It is. The creation of this album just full of surprises.
So many twists and turns.
Uh-huh.
Speaking of unexpected elements, there's another unique thing about the vocals on The Dark Side of the Moon.
Oh, yeah, tell me.
What is it?
They incorporated snippets of interviews that they had done with various staff members and individuals at Abbey Road Studios.
Really? I never noticed that.
Yeah. They're subtle, but they're there.
Yeah.
They ask them all sorts of questions, like what's your favorite color, but also they ask them about madness, violence, death.
What kind of responses did they get?
Well, for example, their road manager, Peter Watts, he's actually the father of actress Naomi Watts.
Oh, wow. Small world.
It is. He contributed that chilling laughter that you hear in Brain Damage and Speak to Me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He also provided the line, I can't think of anything to say, which they used.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you know who said, I've been mad for fufing years?
That was Chris Adamson, one of their roadies.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's amazing how they captured these authentic voices and just wove them into the music.
Right. It adds another layer to those themes of madness and the human experience.
Definitely. Okay, so after all this recording and experimentation, how did they finally land on a finished mix? I imagine it wasn't easy with 4 strong personalities.
Yeah, you're right. It wasn't simple. And there were definitely different visions for the final product. So they brought in Chris Thomas, an experienced mix supervisor.
Okay, so what did he do?
He helped them find a balance, Waters and Mason, they favored a very clean, dry mix. They wanted to emphasize those non-musical elements. While Gilmour and Wright, they were leaning towards a more echoey, atmospheric sound.
So that sounds like it could have caused some conflict. Were there any major disagreements?
Well, according to Thomas, there weren't any major blow-ups or arguments. He helped them reach a compromise, and his contributions were significant. He perfected the timing of the echo on Us and Them, and he was present during the recording of The Great Gig in the Sky.
So he was there for some key moments.
He was.
So what was Roger Waters' reaction when he finally heard the finished album?
He played it for his wife, and she burst into tears. As a clear indication that they had created something special, something that resonated on a profound level.
I can only imagine how gratifying that must have been. Now, we can't talk about The Dark Side of the Moon without discussing that iconic album cover.
Oh, of course not.
One of the most recognizable images in music history.
Absolutely.
How did that come about?
So it was actually Richard Wright who suggested that they go for something simpler, more elegant than their previous covers.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, he wanted a simple, classy design. And Storm Thorgerson, one of the designers from Hypnosis, the firm behind a lot of Pink Floyd's album covers, he stumbled upon a photograph of a prism dispersing light. It was in a physics textbook from 1963.
Oh, wow.
He was also inspired by a 1942 illustration for Beethoven's Emperor Concerto.
Wow. It's interesting how those seemingly unrelated sources can spark such iconic imagery.
It is, and what's striking is how well the prism connects to the album's themes.
Right.
It's more than just a pretty picture. It represents the band's stage lighting, the lyrics' exploration of light and darkness, reason and madness. It's like a prism refracting white light into a spectrum of colors.
It's such a brilliant visual metaphor for the album's exploration of the human psyche.
Exactly. And there's more. The band, they were so confident in Roger Waters' lyrics that for the first time they decided to print them on the album sleeve.
Oh, wow. Bold statement.
It was. They were emphasizing the importance of the words alongside the music.
It's like they're inviting listeners to engage with the lyrics on a deeper level.
Exactly. And they carried that attention to detail through to the gatefold design as well.
Really?
Yeah. They incorporated a visual representation of that pulsing heartbeat that we talked about earlier. And they included another prism image, this time recombining the spectrum of light.
So they really thought out every element of the packages.
Oh, yeah. They wanted to create a complete sensory experience.
I love it.
Yeah.
Did you know that Pink Floyd, well, except for Wright,
Yeah.
actually boycotted their own press release?
They did?
Yeah.
What happened?
The event was held at the London Planetarium, but they skipped it because the quadraphonic mix of the album wasn't finished yet.
Oh, no.
They felt it wasn't ready.
So what did he do?
They sent cardboard cutouts of
Oh,
themselves.
that's so Pink Floyd.